Dawnlight filters through wooden shutters. A man's weathered hands grip the edge of a table, knuckles white, fingers trembling. His eyes are red-rimmed, sleepless, staring at an empty doorway. The sound of distant laughter, cruel, mocking, echoes from the street outside. They ask him why he keeps going back, why he keeps paying the price, why he loves a woman who sells herself to strangers. In the marketplace, a woman's silhouette stands against the morning sun. Coins exchange hands. Her face turns away in shame. Money changes everything. Dignity is measured in silver. What kind of man loves someone the whole world has given up on? Why would God ask a prophet to marry a prostitute? And what if the most scandalous love story in the Bible is actually about you? In the next 80 minutes, you'll discover the most radical picture of God's love ever told. A love that pursues, that pays any price, that refuses to let go even when everything says it should. This is the story of Hosea, the man who loved a woman no one else would, and through him, the God who loves a people who keep running away. If you want to see love that defies all logic, subscribe and turn on the bell. This story will wreck you in the best way. The marketplace of Samaria buzzes with afternoon heat. Dust swirls between vendor stalls where merchants hawk oil and grain, their voices competing for attention. Among them walks Hosea, young, devout, a minor prophet with gentle eyes and scrolls tucked under his arm. People know him here. Children wave as he passes. A baker offers him bread with a respectful nod. This is a man who belongs, whose words carry weight, whose reputation is unblemished. He moves through the crowd with purpose, heading toward the temple courts where he teaches. But something makes him stop. A commotion near the corner where men gather, their voices low and lewd, punctuated by laughter that cuts like broken glass. They're bidding on something, someone. A young woman stands on a wooden platform, head down, dark hair falling across her face. Bruises circle her wrists like bracelets. Her tunic is torn at the shoulder. The auctioneer, a fat man with rings on every finger, lists her qualities with the casual cruelty of someone selling livestock. He mentions her experience. The men roar with approval. She doesn't flinch. She's learned not to. Her name is Gomer. Hosea should keep walking. Every fiber of wisdom tells him to look away, to preserve his reputation, to protect himself from contamination. But his feet won't move. And then, for just a fraction of a second, their eyes meet. Hers are defiant and hollow at the same time, a contradiction that shouldn't exist, but does. Eyes that have seen too much and feel too little. Eyes that dare him to judge her while simultaneously begging him not to look at all. His eyes are different. They're pierced with sudden, inexplicable grief. Not pity, something deeper. Something that feels like recognition, though they've never spoken. The moment breaks. She looks away. He forces himself to walk on, but his hands are shaking. That night, Hosea sits alone in his small room. An oil lamp flickers on the table, casting shadows that dance across mud-brick walls. He tries to pray, but the words won't come. Finally, he presses his forehead to the floor, surrendering to the silence. And in that silence, he hears it, not an audible voice. Something felt in the deepest part of his chest, in the place where certainty lives. A whisper that carries the weight of command. Go, take her as your wife. Hosea's breath catches. He lifts his head slowly, blinking in the lamplight, certain he's misunderstood. He waits. The silence stretches, and then it comes again, clearer this time, undeniable. Take Gomer, daughter of Diblaim, as your wife. His mouth goes dry. He sits back on his heels, staring at nothing. Lord, she's... He can't even finish the sentence. Everyone knows what she is. Everyone knows where she's been, whose beds she's warmed, whose coin she's taken. To marry her would be to tie his name to scandal, to make himself a laughingstock, to destroy everything he's built. The response comes not in words, but in presence. a weight that fills the room, patient and immovable. Exactly. Hosea closes his eyes, his throat tightens. This makes no sense. Prophets marry virgins, women of reputation, daughters of good families. They don't marry prostitutes. They don't invite shame into their homes. They don't, but even as the protests form, he knows. He knows this isn't a suggestion. This isn't a test he can fail and try again. This is the word of the Lord, and it will cost him everything. He looks toward the window, toward the street where Gomer's shame is public knowledge, where tomorrow the gossip will spread like fire. His hands clench and unclench, his jaw works. Every rational thought screams at him to refuse, to ask for a different assignment, to bargain for something, anything else. But underneath the fear, underneath the humiliation already burning in his chest, there's something else. A strange, terrible certainty. A sense that this impossible command is somehow the truest thing he's ever been asked to do. He reaches for his cloak with trembling fingers. The decision is made, but the cost, the real cost, is still unknown. How do you marry scandal when God asks you to love what the world has thrown away? Morning comes too quickly. Hosea barely sleeps, and when dawn breaks, he finds himself walking toward the marketplace with his savings tied in a leather pouch at his belt. Every step feels heavier than the last. The streets are already filling with merchants and customers, the familiar rhythm of commerce beginning again. But today, everything feels different. Today, he's not here to buy grain or oil. The platform is exactly where it was yesterday. Gomer stands there again, waiting for the auction to begin. She looks smaller in the morning light, more fragile, though her expression remains carefully blank. A few early bidders have already gathered, examining her with the casual assessment of men who've done this before. Hosea approaches. The crowd recognizes him immediately. The whispers start before he's even close. People nudge each other, pointing. The prophet, what's he doing here? The vendor, the same fat man from yesterday, sees him coming and grins wide, showing gaps between his teeth. Well, well, the prophet wants a closer look at the merchandise. His voice carries deliberately, designed to humiliate. Laughter ripples through the gathering crowd. Hosea doesn't respond to the jeer. He stops in front of the platform, looks up at Gomer. She stares back at him with those same hollow eyes, waiting for whatever fresh humiliation this will bring. I'll pay her price, Hosea says quietly, all of it. The laughter dies instantly. The silence that follows is worse, thick with shock and something darker. Disbelief, disgust. The vendor's grin falters. You, what? Her full price? I'll pay it now. Hosea's voice is steady, though his heart hammers against his ribs. He unties the pouch, begins counting coins onto the vendor's table. The crowd erupts. Men jeer. Women clutch their children and pull them back, as if proximity to this madness might infect them. Someone shouts, "Have you lost your mind?" Another, "A prophet of God, buying a whore." An older man pushes through the crowd, Jotham, an elder from the temple council, his face red with fury. He's known Hosea since he was a boy, watched him grow into a man of God. And now this, you shame us all, Hosea. Jotham's voice cracks with rage. A prophet of the Lord, marrying a harlot. Have you no fear of God, no respect for your calling? Hosea meets his eyes. The coins continue to clink onto the table, one by one. The Lord told me to. The words land like stones. Jotham's mouth opens, closes. He looks around at the crowd, seeking support, finding only confused faces. That's blasphemy. God would never... He did. Hosea's voice is quiet but absolute. I didn't ask for this, Jotham, but I will obey. The vendor, sensing the transaction slipping away into religious debate, quickly counts the coins and waves his hand. Sold. She's yours, prophet. May you find joy in your purchase. The sarcasm is thick enough to choke on. The crowd parts as HOSEA steps onto the platform. Gomer watches him approach, her body tense, ready to flee or fight. She hasn't decided which. He stops a respectful distance away, doesn't touch her yet. "Come," he says softly. "Let's go home." She doesn't move. "Why?" The word comes out sharp, defensive. "What kind of game is this?" "No game. You're my wife now." She laughs, a bitter, broken sound. "Your wife? Right. And what happens when you're done with me? When whatever sick curiosity this is wears off?" It's not curiosity, it's obedience. To what? To the one who told me to love you. The simplicity of it stuns her into silence. She searches his face for the lie, the hidden motive, the inevitable cruelty, but his eyes are clear, gentle, terrifying in their sincerity. He offers his hand. She stares at it like it might burn her. Finally, slowly, she descends the platform, but she doesn't take his hand. She walks beside him, apart, as they make their way through the hostile crowd. The walk to his home is an eternity of stares and whispers. HOSEA keeps his eyes forward. Gomer keeps hers on the ground. When they finally reach his door, small, modest, clean, he opens it and gestures for her to enter first. The room inside is simple: a table, a sleeping mat, shelves with scrolls, a clay lamp. Nothing extravagant, but it's orderly, cared for. It smells like bread and olive oil and safety, things she barely remembers. HOSEA places bread and water on the table. "You must be hungry." She doesn't move from the corner where she's pressed herself, arms wrapped tight around her body. She doesn't look at the food, doesn't look at him. "You're not my slave, Gomer," he says gently, kneeling so he's not towering over her. "You're my wife." She laughs again, that same bitter sound. Is that supposed to make this less humiliating? Being bought by a prophet who thinks he's saving me. I don't think I'm saving you. I think God is doing something I don't understand yet, but I know this. I will honor you. I will treat you with dignity. And I will not, he pauses, choosing his words carefully, I will not treat you the way other men have. Her eyes flicker. Confusion wars with suspicion. She spent years learning to read men, to predict their wants, to survive their appetites. But this man is different. She doesn't know what to do with different. "Why did he tell you to do this?" she whispers finally. "You're God. Why me?" "I don't know yet," HOSEA admits, "but I trust him." "Then you're a fool." "Maybe." He stands, moves to the table. "But I'm a fool who's going to make you dinner. You can sit there and hate me if you want. But you're not leaving. You're safe here." She watches him move around the small space, lighting the lamp as dusk begins to fall, preparing a simple meal. He hums quietly, something she recognizes as a temple song. The normalcy of it is jarring. After he's set the food out, he sits at the table with a scroll and begins to write by lamplight. His hand moves across the parchment, steady and practiced. She watches from the shadows, unable to look away. The words he writes glow faintly in the lamplight. Israel has prostituted herself to other gods, chasing after Baal, burning incense to idols, forgetting the one who loved her first. His hand pauses. He stares at the words. Then, slowly, he turns his head and looks at Gomer, really looks at her, at the woman in the corner with bruises on her wrists and shame in her eyes, the woman God told him to marry, and something clicks into place. Something vast and terrible and beautiful. This isn't just about her. This isn't just about him. This is a living prophecy. He turns back to the scroll, his hand shaking now, and writes, "Go, take to yourself a wife of whoredom, for the land commits great whoredom by forsaking the Lord." A tear drops onto the parchment, blurring the ink. He wipes it quickly, but the smudge remains, a small scar on the page. Behind him, Gomer sees the tear. She doesn't understand it. But something in her chest tightens, something she thought had died long ago. Hosea speaks, almost to himself, his voice thick with realization. What if I'm not just marrying a woman, but living a prophecy? What if every humiliation I feel, you feel? What if her running is their running? The lamp flickers, the room holds its breath. Outside, the night deepens. Inside, two people sit in silence, one trying to understand God's heart, the other trying to understand why anyone would want hers. Weeks pass, and the rhythm of their life together settles into something fragile and strange. Hosea rises early, prays, teaches when he's allowed, though fewer people come to hear him now. Gomer moves through the house like a ghost, uncertain of her place, waiting for the trap to spring, but it never does. He keeps his word. He treats her with a gentleness she doesn't know how to receive. Market day arrives, and Hosea asks if she'll come with him. She hesitates, knowing what waits outside these walls, but staying alone feels worse somehow, so she agrees. They walk together through the streets, his hand gently at her elbow, not possessive, but protective. People stare. Of course they stare. The whispers follow them like a second shadow, hissing and cruel. Women gather in clusters, their eyes sharp with judgment. Men smirk and elbow each other, making jokes just loud enough to be heard. Gomer keeps her head down, her body tense. She's used to shame, but this is different. Before, she was alone in it. Now she's dragging someone else down with her. They reach the well where women gather to draw water. The conversation stops the moment they approach. A group of women stand there, clay jars balanced on their hips, their faces hard. One of them, Basemath, a merchant's wife with a voice like grinding stone, steps forward as Gomer reaches for the rope. She spits. The saliva lands at Gomer's feet, dark against the dust. Gomer freezes. Her hand drops from the rope. Every muscle in her body screams to run, to disappear, to return to the shadows where she belongs. But Hosea steps between them. His voice is firm, edged with something the women haven't heard from him before. She is my wife. Speak to her with respect. Basemath's eyes narrow. She looks from Hosea to Gomer and back again, her lip curling. Then you're a fool, prophet. A fool who's forgotten what it means to be holy. Everyone knows what she is. Everyone knows what she's done. And everyone knows what she'll do again. The other women murmur their agreement, a chorus of contempt. Hosea doesn't raise his voice, but his words carry weight. What she was is not who she is, and who she is now is under my protection. You will treat her with the dignity she deserves, or you will answer to me. Basemath laughs, a short, sharp sound. Dignity? You can buy a woman, prophet, but you can't buy her a new past. She'll go back. They always do. She turns and walks away, the other women following. Their laughter echoes across the square. Gomer stands there, shaking. Hosea draws the water himself, fills the jar, lifts it for her. She won't meet his eyes. They walk home in silence. That afternoon, Hosea finds Gomer in the small garden behind the house, barely more than a patch of earth with a few struggling herbs. She's kneeling there, pulling weeds with rough, angry movements. She's not used to this kind of work. Her hands are soft from a different life, and the dirt feels foreign under her nails. Hosea watches from the doorway, unsure whether to speak or leave her alone. Without turning, she says, "Why do you do this?" Do what? Defend me. Pretend this is normal. Stand between me and their hate when you could just... She stops, throws a handful of weeds aside. You could just keep me inside, lock the door. No one would blame you. He steps into the garden, kneels a few feet away. Because it is normal. To me? She finally turns, her eyes searching his face for the crack, the flaw, the moment when the mask will slip. You don't even know me. Then let me. The words hang between them, simple and impossible. She wants to laugh, to deflect, to wound him the way she's been wounded, but something in his expression stops her. He means it. This strange, stubborn, holy man actually means it. "You don't want to know me," she says quietly. "Trust me. I already know enough. I know you've survived things that would break most people. I know you're stronger than you think. And I know—" He pauses, choosing his words carefully. "I know God sees something in you worth fighting for." Her throat tightens. She turns back to the weeds, blinking hard. "Your God made a mistake. He doesn't make mistakes. Then he has a cruel sense of humor." Hosea is quiet for a moment, then says, "Maybe he's just telling a story the world needs to hear, even if we don't understand it yet." She doesn't respond. They work in silence until the sun begins to set. That night, a knock comes at the door, heavy, official. Hosea opens it to find Jotham standing there with two other elders, Nadab and Eliam. Their faces are grave, almost apologetic, but their message is not. "Hosea ben Beeri," Jotham begins, his voice formal, "the council has voted. You are no longer welcome to teach in the temple courts, not while you—" He glances past Hosea toward where Gomer sits in the shadows. "While you live in this arrangement." The words land like blows. Hosea's face pales. Teaching is his life, his calling, the way he serves God and provides for his household. Without it, he has nothing. "I am obeying God," he says, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. Jotham looks genuinely pained. "Then your God has made you an outcast. I'm sorry, Hosea, truly. But we cannot have our people instructed by a man who defiles himself with—" "Careful!" Hosea's voice drops, cold and dangerous. "Choose your next words carefully." Jotham stops, swallows. "The decision is made. You may still worship, but you may not teach." The other elders nod, uncomfortable but resolved. They turn and leave, their robes swishing in the dark. Hosea stands in the doorway long after they've gone, staring into the night. His breath comes shallow. His jaw clenches and unclenches. Everything he's worked for, his reputation, his position, his voice, stripped away because he obeyed. He closes the door slowly and turns to find Gomer watching him from across the room. Her face is stricken. "I'm sorry," she whispers. "For what?" "For ruining your life." He crosses to her, kneels so they're eye to eye. "You didn't ruin anything. I chose this. God chose this." "Why?" Her voice breaks. "Why would he do that to you?" Hosea doesn't have an answer, not one that makes sense. So he simply says, "I don't know, but I trust there's a reason." That night, after she's fallen into fitful sleep in the corner, Hosea sits by the lamp and writes. His hand moves across the parchment, recording what God is teaching him through this impossible marriage. "The more I called them, the more they went from me. They sacrificed to the Baals and burned incense to idols. Yet it was I who taught them to walk, taking them by the arms, but they did not realize it was I who healed them." He pauses, staring at the words. Israel, running from God even as he pursues them, choosing false lovers even as the true one calls them back. Breaking his heart again and again. Hosea's eyes drift to Gomer, curled up across the room, her breathing uneven even in sleep. And he understands. Just a little. Just enough to make his chest ache. This is what it feels like, to love someone who doesn't want your love, to pursue someone who runs, to pay a price for someone who doesn't understand the cost. This is what God feels. A tear falls onto the page, and he doesn't wipe it away this time. He lets it sit there, a mark of shared suffering. Outside, the night is silent. Inside, a prophet learns what it means to love like God loves, and it costs everything. Months pass, and Gomer's body begins to change. Her belly swells with life, unmistakable now beneath her tunic. The town buzzes with fresh cruelty. Whose child is it, really? They count back the weeks, do the math, whisper their calculations in market stalls and at well sides. Some say it must be Hosea's. Others laugh and say he's raising another man's bastard. The speculation is endless, vicious, a sport for those with nothing better to do. Hosea endures it all. The stares, the crude jokes, the stones thrown by children who've learned hate from their parents. He walks through the marketplace and hears the whispers that aren't quite whispers, designed to wound. There goes the prophet who couldn't keep his wife. Wonder if the baby will look like him. Probably wondering the same thing himself. He says nothing. His jaw tightens. His hands clench. But he keeps walking. Gomer walks beside him, her hand resting on her belly, her face unreadable. She's learned to build walls so high that nothing gets through. But Hosea sees the way her shoulders curve inward, the way she makes herself smaller, as if she could disappear entirely. One afternoon, a man steps directly into their path, Tikva, a merchant with oil-slick hair and rings on his fingers. Gomer knows him. She stiffens, her breath catching. Hosea feels her tense beside him. Tikva grins, showing too many teeth. He looks at Hosea with mock sympathy. Tell me, prophet, does she whisper my name when you lie with her? Or have you even lain with her? He leans closer, his voice dropping to a stage whisper that carries perfectly, because I remember what she sounds like, very memorable. The men around him laugh. Gomer's face drains of color. Hosea's fists clench so hard his knuckles go white. Every instinct screams at him to strike, to defend, to destroy this man's smirk with violence, but he doesn't. He unclenches his fists, one finger at a time. He looks Tikva in the eye, and his voice is quiet, steady. You will move. Now. Something in his tone, something beneath the gentleness, something ancient and unyielding, makes Tikva's grin falter. He steps aside, but his laughter follows them down the street, joined by others, a chorus of mockery that doesn't stop until they're home. Inside, Gomer collapses onto a stool, her hands shaking. You should have hit him. Would that have helped? It would have felt better, for a moment, and then they'd have one more reason to call me a fool. She looks up at him, eyes blazing. They already call you a fool, every day, because of me. Because you married me and now you're... She gestures at her belly, raising a child that might not even be yours. Hosea kneels in front of her, his voice firm. This child is mine. Whatever happened before, whoever you were before, this child is mine, and you are mine. That's the end of it. How can you say that? How can you just... Her voice breaks. She looks away, blinking hard. Because that's what love does. It claims, it protects. It doesn't count wrongs or calculate debts. It just stays. She stares at him, something cracking in her expression. But before she can respond, the baby kicks, hard enough that she gasps. Hosea's eyes drop to her belly, and without thinking, he reaches out, his hand hovering just above the fabric. May I? She nods, unable to speak. His palm settles gently over the swell of her stomach. They wait, and then it comes again. A flutter, a push, undeniable life. His eyes widen, and for the first time in weeks, he smiles. Strong, he whispers, a fighter. Gomer watches his face, watches the pure joy there, and something inside her shifts. Not love, not yet. She doesn't know how to love, but maybe something like trust, something like hope. That night, after she's asleep, Hosea sits at his table with a scroll and lamp. He writes what God has been speaking to him, the words pouring out faster than his hand can keep up. She decked herself with rings and jewelry and went after her lovers, but me she forgot, declares the Lord. Therefore I will block her path with thorn bushes. I will wall her in so that she cannot find her way. She will chase after her lovers but not catch them. She will look for them but not find them. His hand stops. He stares at the words, his chest tight. Is this what's happening? Is God blocking Gomer's path back to her old life by tying her to him, by filling her body with a child that will make her dependent, vulnerable, unable to return to the streets. It feels cruel. It feels like mercy. It feels like both at once. He keeps writing, his hand trembling now. And then she will say, "I will go back to my husband as at first, for then I was better off than now." She has not acknowledged that I was the one who gave her the grain, the new wine and oil, who lavished on her the silver and gold. A tear falls. It splashes on the word gold, smearing the ink. He pauses, pressing the heel of his hand against his eyes. Behind him, he doesn't know that Gomer is awake, that she's watching him from the shadows, that she sees the tear, sees the way his shoulders shake with silent grief. She doesn't understand it. Why would he cry for her? Why would her brokenness break him? But she sees it, and somewhere deep inside, in a place she thought was dead, something stirs. Hosea lowers his hand and speaks aloud, as if arguing with God himself. "You say I will call her my wife again, that I will speak tenderly to her in the wilderness, that I will betroth her to me forever in righteousness and justice, in love and compassion." His voice rises, raw and desperate. "Even after she breaks my heart, even after she runs, even after she chooses every lover but me, you still want me to promise her forever." The lamp flickers. The house is silent except for his ragged breathing, and then, quietly, the answer comes, not in words, but in knowing, deep, unshakable knowing. "Yes, because that's what I do. That's what I've always done. I promise forever to people who run. I pour out love on those who forget me. I pay the price again and again for those who don't understand the cost. And now you will show them. You will live it. You will be my heart made flesh." Hosea bows his head, fresh tears streaming down his face. He understands now, fully, terribly. This isn't just about Gomer. This is about Israel. This is about every person who's ever run from God's love, who's ever chosen empty things over the one who made them. This is about a love that refuses to quit, a love that pursues, a love that promises forever, even to betrayal. He looks at the words on the page through blurred vision. Then he picks up his pen and writes one final line, his hand steady now despite the tears. "I will betroth you to me forever." The ink dries. The promise stands. And across the room, in the shadows, Gomer closes her eyes and wonders for the first time what it would be like to be loved like that, to be loved forever, by someone who actually means it. The child comes in the night, announced by Gomer's sharp cry that jolts Hosea from sleep. He rushes to her side, finds her doubled over, hands braced against the wall, breathing hard through clenched teeth. Her water has broken, soaking the mat beneath her. "I'll get the midwife," he says, already moving toward the door. "No," her voice stops him. "They won't come, not for me." He knows she's right. He's seen the way the women turn away when Gomer approaches, the way doors close, the way help is withheld. So he stays. He boils water, gathers cloths, prays desperately for wisdom he doesn't have. And through the long hours of labor, he holds her hand, wipes her forehead, speaks words of encouragement that feel inadequate against her pain. Just before dawn, the baby comes, a son, red-faced and squalling, alive and perfect. Hosea cuts the cord with shaking hands, washes the child, wraps him in clean linen. He places the baby in Gomer's arms, and for a moment, her face transforms. The walls come down. She looks at her son with wonder and terror and something that might be love. "He's beautiful," Hosea whispers, throat tight. She doesn't respond. She's counting the baby's fingers, checking his toes, searching his face for what? Clues, evidence. Whose eyes does he have? Whose nose? "What will you name him?" she asks quietly. Hosea is silent. He's been waiting for this moment, dreading it, because God has already told him the name, and it's not a blessing. It's a pronouncement. Jezreel, Gomer looks up sharply. Jezreel, the valley of bloodshed. That's what you want to name our son? It's what God wants. Her face hardens. Of course it is. She looks back at the baby, her jaw tight. Even this, even our child, he has to be a sign, a symbol. She stops, her voice breaking. Can't anything just be normal? Hosea sits beside her, his hand gentle on the baby's head. Well, God says that in a little while he will punish the house of Jehu for the massacre at Jezreel, that he will break Israel's bow in the valley of Jezreel. This child is a warning, but also, he pauses, his voice softening, also a promise. Because Jezreel means God plants. Even in judgment, he's planting something new. Even in bloodshed, he's preparing ground for grace. Gomer doesn't look convinced. She holds the baby closer, protective, as if she could shield him from the weight of being a prophecy. 3 weeks later, Hosea carries Jezreel to the temple courtyard for the dedication ceremony. He knows it's a risk. He hasn't been allowed to teach in months, and his presence is barely tolerated. But this is his son, and the law requires presentation before the Lord. A crowd gathers, more than usual, drawn by curiosity and the promise of scandal. They want to see if the prophet will really claim this child as his own. They want to see if God will strike him down for his presumption. Hosea stands in the center of the court, the baby in his arms, facing the altar. His voice carries across the assembled people, strong and clear despite the fear churning in his gut. This is my son, Jezreel, and through him the Lord declares Israel's blood guilt will be avenged. The house of Jehu will be punished for the massacre at Jezreel. I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Some people shift uncomfortably. Others whisper behind their hands. The name is ominous, a reminder of violence and coming judgment, but Hosea isn't finished. But hear also this. Jezreel means God plants. The Lord does not only uproot, he also sows, and what he plants will grow in righteousness, in mercy, in a love that refuses to let his people go. The murmurs grow louder. People don't know whether to scoff or fear. Is this prophecy or madness? Is this man speaking for God or embarrassing himself publicly? Elder Jotham stands near the front, his face grave. You claim this child as yours, Hosea ben Beeri. He is my son. Can you be certain? The question hangs in the air, ugly and deliberate. Everyone knows what he's asking. Everyone waits for the answer. Hosea looks down at Jezreel, at the tiny face peaceful in sleep, unaware of the controversy swirling around him. When he looks back up, his eyes are fierce. He is my son. I have claimed him. God has named him. That is all the certainty required. Jotham says nothing more, but his expression speaks volumes. The ceremony concludes in uncomfortable silence. The crowd disperses, their whispers following Hosea as he carries Jezreel home. That night, alone in his room while Gomer and the baby sleep, Hosea sits with his head in his hands. The weight of it all presses down, the rejection, the mockery, the loss of his position, the uncertainty of fatherhood. He feels hollowed out, scraped clean, emptied of everything but raw obedience. Lord, he whispers into the darkness, I don't know if I can keep doing this. The words feel like betrayal, even as he speaks them. But they're true. He's tired. He's humiliated. He's given everything, and it seems to be getting worse, not better. He waits for an answer, for reassurance, for anything. Silence. Just the sound of his own breathing, the distant cry of a night bird, the rustle of wind through the shutters. He closes his eyes. A single tear traces down his cheek and drips onto his folded hands. And in that moment of weakness, in that admission of exhaustion, something shifts. Not comfort exactly, but presence. The sense that his breaking is not failure but participation, that his emptying is making room for something he can't yet see. He sits there for a long time, letting the tears come, letting the grief and confusion pour out. And slowly, very slowly, something like peace settles over him. Not happiness, not certainty, but the kind of peace that comes from surrender, from saying yes even when you don't understand, from trusting that love, real love, is always worth the cost. He stands, finally, wipes his face, and moves to check on Gomer and Jezreel. They're both sleeping, Gomer's arm curved protectively around the baby. In the dim light, they look almost peaceful, almost whole. HOSEA watches them for a moment, then returns to his table. He lights the lamp, unfurls a scroll, and begins to write again, because this is all he has left. His voice may be silenced in the temple, but his pen still moves. God's words still come. And if he's learned anything through this impossible marriage, it's that God's words always find a way. 2 months later, Gomer is pregnant again. HOSEA knows before she tells him. He sees it in the way she avoids his eyes, the way her hand drifts to her stomach when she thinks he's not looking. When she finally admits it, her voice is flat, defensive. I suppose you'll want another prophetic name for this one too. If it's God's will. She laughs bitterly. Of course it is. But this time, there's something different in her eyes. Not hope exactly, but not the same hardness either. Something has softened, just slightly, like ice beginning to thaw at the edges. The pregnancy progresses. HOSEA provides for her, cares for her, treats her with the same steady gentleness he always has. And slowly, so slowly she barely notices, Gomer begins to let him in. Just a little, just enough to be dangerous. One evening, as he holds Jezreel and she prepares their simple meal, she speaks without looking at him. Why don't you ask? Ask what? Whose it is? This baby. You never ask. HOSEA is quiet for a moment. Then, would it change how I love you if I knew? She turns to face him, searching his expression. It should, but it doesn't. That's not how this works, Gomer. I didn't marry you on condition that you'd be perfect. I married you because God told me to love you, and that's not a feeling that comes and goes based on what you do or don't do. It's a choice. Every day, no matter what. She stares at him, something breaking in her face. She opens her mouth as if to speak, then closes it, turns back to the fire, but her hands are shaking. 8 months later, she gives birth again, a daughter this time. HOSEA holds the tiny girl, marveling at her smallness, her perfection. He looks at Gomer, waiting for her to speak, to name the child, to claim her. But Gomer's face is turned to the wall. She won't look at the baby, won't hold her. What's wrong? HOSEA asks gently. Name her. Gomer's voice is hollow. Name her whatever God tells you to. Make her another sign, another warning. I'm done fighting it. HOSEA's heart breaks. He looks down at the innocent face in his arms, and God's word comes, heavy, terrible, necessary. In Lo Ruhamah, Gomer flinches as if struck. Not loved, she translates bitterly. You're going to name our daughter not loved. It's what God has said. I will no longer show love to Israel, that I should at all forgive them. But Gomer, he moves closer, the baby still in his arms. This is about Israel, not about her, not about you. She will be loved, by me, by you. This child will be loved even though her name says otherwise, because that's the point. That's what God is showing us, that his love doesn't depend on our worthiness, that he loves even when he names us not loved. But Gomer doesn't hear the theology, she only hears the name. She turns her face away and weeps. That night, holding Lo Ruhamah while Gomer sleeps fitfully, HOSEA finally understands the full weight of what God is doing. These children, Jezreel, Lo Ruhamah, and the third child he somehow knows is coming, they're living prophecies, walking warnings, embodied messages about Israel's rebellion and God's coming judgment, but they're also his children, his son, his daughter, flesh of his flesh, whether by blood or by covenant, and loving them, claiming them, raising them, naming them terrible names while pouring tenderness over their lives. This is teaching him something about God's heart that he could never have learned any other way. This is what it means to love a people who don't deserve it, to claim children who bear the names of judgment, to pour out blessing on those marked by curse. This is how God loves, and soon, though he doesn't know it yet, Gomer will be gone. The morning Hosea wakes to find her gone, he knows immediately. He doesn't need to search the house or call her name. He knows the way you know when something essential has been torn away. The air feels different, thinner, harder to breathe. Her cloak is by the door. The one he gave her, the good one, left behind deliberately. She's taken nothing, or perhaps she's taken everything that matters. Herself, her choice, her freedom from this suffocating love that asks too much and gives too freely. Jezreel toddles into the room, barely 2 years old, looking for his mother. Lo Ruhamah cries from her cradle, hungry, and Hosea stands there, frozen, staring at the empty space where Gomer should be. A neighbor saw her leave at dawn, heading toward the market, toward the old streets, toward the life she understood, even if it destroyed her. She ran, just like God said she would. Days turn into weeks. Hosea cares for the children alone, feeding them, changing them, singing them to sleep while his heart breaks in his chest. People watch with a mixture of pity and satisfaction. They knew this would happen. They tried to warn him. The prophet who thought he could love a prostitute into righteousness, the fool who believed obedience would somehow be enough. Rumors reach him in fragments. Gomer is back in the trade. Worse than before, she's drinking. She's with a man named Elon, a wine merchant with a reputation for cruelty. She's thin, she's sick, she's lost. Each report is a knife between his ribs. His friends, the few who remain, urge him to divorce her, to remarry, to move on. Even Jotham, who condemned him for marrying her, now tells him he has grounds to end it. You've done more than anyone could ask, Hosea. You gave her a home, a name, children, and she threw it all away. The law gives you the right to divorce her. God himself would not fault you. Hosea sits in his empty house, Lo Ruhamah asleep on his chest, Jezreel playing quietly in the corner. His voice when he speaks is barely audible. I can't. Why not? She's made her choice. She's chosen the streets over you, over her children. Let her go. I can't. He looks up, and his eyes are red-rimmed, exhausted. Don't you see? If I let her go, the prophecy dies. If I give up on her, then what does that say about God? That he gives up too, that his love has limits, that there's a point where he stops pursuing. Maybe there is, Jotham says quietly. No. Hosea's voice is firm despite the tremor. No, there isn't. That's the whole point. That's why he made me do this. So Israel would see, so we would all see. Love that quits isn't love. It's just transaction, contract. God doesn't make contracts with us. He makes covenants, and covenants don't break, even when we do. Jotham leaves shaking his head, convinced Hosea has lost his mind. Maybe he has. Months pass. A third child comes, not from Gomer, but Hosea knows whose it is. A boy, brought to his door by a woman who won't meet his eyes, who says only, she can't keep him. She asked if you would. Hosea takes the baby, looks down at the tiny face, and something inside him that was already broken shatters completely. This child was conceived in her running, born in her betrayal, proof of her adultery made flesh. And yet, when he holds this boy, he feels only love. God whispers the name, Lo Ami, not my people. Hosea closes his eyes against the pain of it. 3 children now, 3 prophetic names, 3 living declarations of judgment. Jezreel, God scatters. Lo Ruhamah, not loved. Lo Ami, not my people. The message is complete. Israel has been scattered. Israel is not loved. Israel is not God's people anymore. The covenant is broken. The relationship is finished. God is done. Except Hosea is holding Loami in his arms, kissing his forehead, whispering promises of provision and protection. Except Lo Ruhama is sleeping in the cradle he built with his own hands. Except Jezreel calls him Abba and climbs into his lap for stories. Except he loves them, all of them, even the one who isn't his, especially the one who isn't his, because that's what the names really mean. Not that these children are unloved, but that they're loved despite being unloved, that they're claimed despite being not my people, that they're held close even when everything about them speaks of scattering and separation. This is the impossible math of God's love. One night, alone after the children are finally asleep, Hosea sits by a single candle and lets himself feel the full weight of it. The exhaustion, the humiliation, the loneliness that gnaws at him like hunger. He's lost everything, his position, his reputation, his wife, his dignity. He raises children who bear names of judgment. He loves a woman who won't stop running. And for what? For a message no one wants to hear. For a prophecy that makes him a laughingstock. For obedience that looks like failure from every angle. The candle flickers, nearly dies in a draught. Hosea watches it, hypnotized by the way the flame struggles against the dark. It would be so easy to just let it go out, to stop fighting, to surrender to the exhaustion that pulls at him like deep water. "Why do you ask this of me?" he whispers to the empty room. "I have nothing left." The candle steadies, barely. Just enough to keep burning, not bright, not triumphant, just persistent. And in that fragile light, Hosea understands. This is the point. The flame that refuses to die, even when it should. The love that keeps going even when it's down to embers. The covenant that holds, even when everything else has let go. This is what God wanted him to see, what Israel needs to see, what the world needs to see. That love, real love, God's love, doesn't quit when things get hard. It doesn't calculate odds or cut losses. It just keeps burning, keeps holding, keeps choosing the beloved even when the beloved chooses everything else. A week later, a street child finds him in the market. The boy is filthy, eyes too old for his young face. He presses a scrap of parchment into Hosea's hand and runs before Hosea can ask questions. The writing is crude, smudged. She's being sold. Tomorrow, East Market, last time. Hosea's hands shake as he reads it. His breath catches. He looks up, searching the crowd for the child, but he's already gone. Tomorrow, she's being sold tomorrow. How many times can you buy back what was already yours? How many times can you pay the price for someone who keeps choosing slavery? He looks at the note again, at the desperate scrawl of last time, last chance, last offer, last moment before she's lost completely. He folds the parchment carefully, tucks it into his belt. He looks at the candle that burned through the night, still glowing on his table in the morning light, and he knows what he has to do, even if it costs him everything he has left, even if it breaks him completely, even if no one understands, he'll go back for her, because that's what love does. The auction block stands in the East Market like an altar to human degradation. Morning sun beats down harsh and pitiless, exposing everything. The worn wood stained with decades of transactions. The faces of men who've learned to see flesh as commodity. The hollow eyes of women who've learned to feel nothing at all. Hosea arrives early, before the crowd gathers. He needs to see her first, to prepare himself for whatever she's become. He stands in the shadow of a merchant's stall, watching as they bring her out. She doesn't walk. She's led, stumbling, by a handler who grips her arm too tightly. And when Hosea sees her, Something inside him dies and resurrects in the same moment. Gomer is barely recognizable. She's emaciated, her cheekbones sharp as blades beneath skin that's lost all color. Her hair, once thick and dark, hangs in matted tangles. Bruises mottle her arms, fresh ones purple, old ones yellow-green. Her eyes are vacant, staring at nothing, focused on some internal landscape of survival and surrender. They position her on the platform. She sways slightly, steadies herself. Someone in the gathering crowd laughs, a cruel, anticipatory sound. The auctioneer arrives, different from the one years ago, but the same type. Thick-fingered, loud-voiced, practiced in the art of selling human beings. He sizes Gomer up with the detached assessment of a livestock trader. "Gentlemen," he calls out as more men gather, "we have here a woman of extensive experience." More laughter. She knows her trade well, though she's seen better days. Still serviceable for the right purposes. "We'll start the bidding at..." He pauses, looks her over again, his nose wrinkling slightly. 5 shekels of silver. 5 shekels, the price of a damaged slave. Less than a healthy donkey would fetch. A few men bid half-heartedly. They're not interested in owning her, just in the sport of the auction, the entertainment of watching something broken be sold for scraps. 6 shekels. 7. The bidding is lazy, almost bored. Gomer stands through it all, swaying slightly, her eyes unfocused. She doesn't look at the bidders, doesn't react to their comments about her body, her worth, her usefulness. She's somewhere else entirely, somewhere beyond shame, beyond pain, beyond anything at all. HOSEA watches from the shadows, and every fiber of his being screams. His fists clench until his nails draw blood from his palms. His breath comes in shallow gasps. He wants to rage, to overturn the platform, to strike down every man who dares to price his wife like meat, but he doesn't. He steps forward instead, into the sunlight, into full view of the crowd. The recognition is instantaneous. Whispers hiss through the assembled men like wind through dead leaves. The prophet, HOSEA. He's back again. The auctioneer sees him coming and grins wide, delighted by this new entertainment. "Well, well, our prophet returns. Come to bid on your wife, have you? 3rd time's the charm." Laughter erupts, harsh, mocking. Men elbow each other, enjoying the spectacle. The fool prophet who keeps coming back, who keeps paying for what should be worthless. HOSEA doesn't acknowledge the jeers. He walks to the platform and stops directly in front of it, looking up at Gomer. For the first time, her eyes focus. She sees him, really sees him, and her face crumples. "No," she whispers, so quietly only he hears. "No, please, don't." But he's already speaking. "What's her price?" The auctioneer's grin widens. "Current bid is 7 shekels. But for you, prophet, given your history, let's say 15 shekels of silver." And he looks Gomer over again, calculating 1.5 homers of barley. That's the price of a slave, as I'm sure you know, seems fitting. 15 shekels and 1.5 homers of barley, the exact price specified in the law for a slave of minimal value. She's worth so little now that even her sale must be supplemented with grain. The humiliation is calculated, deliberate, designed to wound both of them. HOSEA reaches into his pouch. His hands are steady now, though his heart is breaking into pieces so small they'll never be reassembled. He counts out the coins, slowly, one by one. Each clink against the auctioneer's table, a declaration of something the crowd doesn't understand. 10 shekels, 11, 12. He has only 13 shekels. He counts them twice. 13. He needs 15. The auctioneer watches with mock sympathy. "Short 2 shekels, prophet. Pity. Someone else will have to..." "I have barley." HOSEA's voice cuts through the mockery. 1.5 homers, and 2 more homers in addition, to make up the difference. The crowd murmurs. He's offering more than required. paying in grain what he can't pay in silver, and adding extra, making her worth more than the law demands, declaring her value higher than the market sets. The auctioneer shrugs. Very well. The barley plus 13 shekels. She's yours. Prophet, may you find joy in your purchase. The sarcasm is thick enough to choke on, but HOSEA isn't listening anymore. He climbs onto the platform, something buyers don't do. You take your purchase and leave. You don't stand beside them. You don't honor them with proximity, but HOSEA does. He removes his cloak, the good one, the only one he has, and wraps it around Gomer's shaking shoulders. She's trembling violently now, her face wet with tears she's trying desperately to hold back. Why? Her voice breaks on the word. Why do you keep doing this? He takes her hands, filthy, scarred, shaking. His voice is low, meant only for her. But in the sudden silence of the crowd, everyone hears, because I am yours, and you are mine, and nothing you do can change that. She makes a sound, half sob, half laugh, entirely broken. I don't deserve this. I know. I've hurt you. I've shamed you. She can't finish. The list is too long. I know, he says again, gently, firmly. But I'm not here because you deserve it. I'm here because I love you, because God won't let me stop loving you, because this is what love does. It comes back. It pays the price. It stands on the platform and says mine, even when the world says worthless. The crowd is silent now. The mockery has died in their throats. They're witnessing something they don't have categories for, something that doesn't fit the transactional logic of their world. Gomer collapses against him, her body racked with sobs. He catches her, holds her, lets her break apart in his arms. His own tears fall silently into her tangled hair. I'm so sorry, she whispers against his chest. I'm so sorry. I know. It's all right. You're coming home now. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I remember how. Then I'll teach you, again, as many times as it takes. He helps her down from the platform. Her legs barely hold her. He supports her weight, one arm around her waist, taking each step slowly. The crowd parts before them, not in mockery now, but in something closer to awe or fear, or the unsettling recognition that they're seeing something holy happening in the dirt of a slave market. They walk through the silent street. No one speaks, no one laughs. The journey that should take minutes feels like hours. Gomer leans heavily against him, her breath ragged, her body weak from malnutrition and abuse, and months of running from the one safe place she'd ever known. The children, she finally whispers, do they remember me? Jezreel asks about you every night. Lo Ruhamah cries for you, and Lo Ami, his voice catches. Lo Ami needs his mother. Fresh tears stream down her face. I don't know how to be their mother. I don't know how to be your wife. I don't know how to be anything but what I've been. Then we'll learn together, one day at a time, one moment at a time. I'm not asking you to be perfect, Gomer. I'm just asking you to stay. They reach his door, small, modest, the only home he can offer. He opens it, and inside, a neighbor woman is watching the children. Jezreel looks up from his playing. He's almost 3 now, old enough to remember. Mama. His voice is small, uncertain. Gomer freezes in the doorway. She looks at her son, her beautiful boy with his father's eyes, and something in her face transforms. The walls she's built so carefully begin to crack, not collapse, not yet, but crack, letting in the first dangerous rays of hope. Yes, baby, she whispers. Mama's home. Jezreel runs to her. She drops to her knees, HOSEA still supporting her, and catches him, holds him, breathes in the smell of his hair. Lo Ruhamah toddles over, curious, and Lo Ami, barely 6 months old, makes soft baby sounds from his cradle. The neighbor woman leaves quietly, sensing she's no longer needed. The door closes. The family is alone, broken, barely held together, but together. HOSEA kneels beside Gomer as she holds Jezreel and Lo Ruhamah. as she reaches out a tentative hand to touch Lo-Ami's cheek. His arm goes around all of them, sheltering, claiming, protecting, and in that moment, that impossible, holy, devastating moment, the prophecy becomes flesh. This is what it looks like when God comes back for his people, when he pays the price again, when he wraps his cloak around their shame and says, "Mine," when he stands in the market square of their degradation and declares their worth higher than their worst choices. This is love that refuses to quit. This is covenant that doesn't break. This is the scandal of grace. Outside, the world continues. Inside, in the silence and the tears and the trembling beginning of restoration, something impossible is happening. A woman who was not loved is being called beloved. A people who were not his people are being called his own. And a man who thought he had nothing left discovers he has everything that matters. They kneel together on the floor, HOSEA, Gomer, and their 3 children with prophetic names. And for the first time in longer than any of them can remember, they pray, not eloquent words, not theological pronouncements, just broken whispers of thank you and help us and please God, let this be real. And in the small house, in the fading afternoon light, God's answer is the same as it's always been. Yes, it's real. I'm here, and I'm not letting go. The first days are the hardest. Gomer moves through the house like a ghost, uncertain of where she belongs, flinching at kindness like it might be a trap. Her body is weak, her spirit weaker. She sleeps fitfully, waking with gasps in the night, reaching for things that aren't there, calling out names HOSEA pretends not to hear. He tends to her like she's something precious and fragile, which she is, though she doesn't believe it yet. He brings her broth when she can't eat solid food. He washes her hair gently, carefully working out the tangles and matted places, his hands patient even when she weeps from the pain of it. He gives her clean clothes, soft blankets, a place by the fire, and he asks nothing in return. This confuses her more than anything. She knows transactions. She knows how to pay debts with her body. But this gift without demand, this care without cost, she doesn't know what to do with it. One evening, as he sits by the hearth writing while the children sleep, she speaks from the shadows where she's been watching him. "When will you tell me what you want?" He looks up, his expression puzzled. "What do you mean? You paid for me. You brought me back. You're feeding me, clothing me, caring for me." Her voice is flat, defensive. "So when do I pay you back? What do you want from me?" Understanding dawns in his eyes, and with it, a deep sadness. He sets down his scroll, turns to face her fully. "I don't want anything from you, Gomer. I want something for you. I want you to be free, to be whole, to be loved not because you've earned it, but because you already are. That's not how the world works. I know, but that's how God works, and I'm trying, failing, probably, but trying, to love you the way he loves us." She's silent for a long moment, her fingers twisting in the fabric of her tunic. "Why did he make you do this? Marry me, chase me, buy me back?" Her voice drops to a whisper. What was the point of all this pain? HOSEA stands, crosses to where she sits, and kneels before her, the same way he did in the marketplace, the same position of humility and honor. "So Israel would know," he says quietly. "So we would all know." "Know what?" He takes a breath, and when he speaks, his voice carries the weight of revelation, hard won through suffering. That this is how he loves us, all of us. Even when we run, even when we betray, even when we sell ourselves to everything but him, he keeps coming back. He keeps paying the price. He keeps standing in the marketplace of our shame and saying, "Mine." Tears stream down her face, unchecked now. But why? Why would he do that? Because love doesn't calculate. It doesn't keep score. It doesn't say this far and no further. Love, real love, God's love, it pursues, it bleeds, it dies and rises and refuses to let go. He takes her hands gently. Are you and me, Gomer? We're not just a marriage, we're a message. Every time I came back for you, God was saying, this is what I do for Israel. This is what I do for everyone who's ever felt too far gone, too broken, too stained to be wanted. She shakes her head, overwhelmed. I don't understand that kind of love. Neither do I, he admits, his own eyes wet now. But I'm learning. Every day I'm learning. And maybe his voice catches. Maybe that's what we're supposed to teach our children. Not that they'll be perfect, but that they're loved anyway. That their names might speak of judgment, but their lives will speak of mercy. She looks at him, really looks at him, and sees what he's paid for this prophecy, the lines around his eyes that weren't there before, the grey threading his beard, the weight he carries in his shoulders. He's given everything to love her. And she's given him nothing but pain. I don't know how to be what you need, she whispers. You already are. You just need to stay. That's all. Just stay and let yourself be loved. Something breaks in her then. Not the breaking of destruction, but the breaking of ice in spring. The walls crack wider. The defenses crumble. And for the first time since she can remember, she lets herself hope that maybe, possibly, she could be more than her worst choices. I'll try, she says. I don't know if I can, but I'll try. That's all I ask. That's all God asks. Just keep trying, keep staying, keep letting love reach you. Weeks pass, then months. Slowly, painfully, beautifully, restoration happens. Not all at once, not in dramatic moments, but in the small things. Gomer holding Lo Ruhamah without flinching, Jezreel laughing at something she says, Lo Ami reaching for her when he cries, her hands learning domestic rhythms they never knew before, her voice joining Hosea's in evening prayers, hesitant at first, then stronger. One night, Hosea sits at his table writing, as he always does, but this time Gomer approaches and sits beside him. She watches his hand move across the parchment, the letters forming words she can't read but somehow understands. What are you writing? She asks softly. He glances at her, then back at the scroll. Know what God has been teaching me, through you, through us. He reads aloud, his voice quiet but clear. Therefore I am now going to allure her. I will lead her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. There I will give her back her vineyards and will make the valley of Achor a door of hope. He pauses, his finger tracing the words. Achor means trouble, the valley of trouble becoming a door of hope. That's what's happening here, Gomer. Our trouble, all of it. It's becoming the way through, the way to understanding, the way to seeing God's heart. She's crying again, but differently now. Not from shame, from recognition, from the dawning realization that her story, their story, means something beyond the pain. He continues reading. In that day, declares the Lord, you will call me my husband. You will no longer call me my master. I will betroth you to me forever. I will betroth you in righteousness and in justice, in love and compassion. I will betroth you in faithfulness, and you will acknowledge the Lord. His voice breaks on the word forever. He sets down the pen, turns to face her fully. Do you hear that? Forever. Not until you mess up again. Not until I get tired. Not until it stops being hard. Forever. That's the promise. That's what God is saying to Israel through us. That's what he's saying to you, to me, to everyone who thinks they've run too far. Gomer reaches out, tentatively, as if touching something sacred, and places her hand over his on the table. I don't deserve forever. Neither do I. Neither does anyone. That's the point. Forever isn't earned. It's given. It's grace. They sit like that for a long moment, hands joined, the lamp flickering between them. And then Gomer speaks words she never thought she'd say, words that feel like resurrection in her mouth. I want to stay, not because I have nowhere else to go, but because I want to, because... She swallows hard. because I think I'm starting to understand what love means. And I think I'm starting to love you back." Hosea's face transforms. Joy breaks through like sunrise through storm clouds. He brings her hand to his lips, kisses it gently. "That's all I've ever wanted, not perfection, just you, choosing to stay." The next morning, something miraculous happens. Small, easily missed, but miraculous nonetheless. Hosea wakes to find Gomer already up, standing by the window with Lo-Ami on her hip, speaking softly to him. Morning light floods the room, turning her hair golden. She's humming, a melody Hosea recognizes from the temple, a song of thanksgiving. She turns, sees him watching and smiles, a real smile, the first one he's seen from her that reaches her eyes. "Good morning," she says simply, and in those two words, everything changes, because she's not just enduring the morning, she's welcoming it. She's here, fully here, not disappearing into memory or numbing herself with distance. She's present. She's choosing this moment, this man, this life. This is the sign, not dramatic, not the parting of seas or the falling of walls. Just a woman smiling at her husband on an ordinary morning. Just a mother holding her child with tenderness instead of obligation. Just a soul that was lost, beginning to find its way home. Hosea rises, crosses to them, wraps his arms around both of them. "Good morning," he whispers back, his voice thick with gratitude. The children wake. Jezreel bounds out of bed, excited for the day. Lo-Ruhamah toddles over, wanting breakfast. And together, Hosea and Gomer move through the morning routines, making bread, drawing water, feeding children, living an ordinary life that is somehow impossibly holy. Later, Hosea gathers his family around him as the sun climbs higher. He takes each child in turn, kisses their foreheads, speaks new words over them. Not replacing their names, those names still matter, still carry the prophecy, but adding truth to them. Jezreel, God scatters, but also God plants. "You are planted in love, my son. You will grow in righteousness." Lo-Ruhamah, not loved, but you are loved, so deeply loved, and you will know the Lord's compassion all your days. Lo-Ami, not my people, but you are my son. You are mine. You are his. And nothing will separate you from that love. Gomer watches, tears streaming freely now, and then Hosea turns to her, his hand cupping her face with infinite gentleness. "And you, Gomer, daughter of Diblaim, wife of Hosea, mother of these children, beloved of God, you are no longer called forsaken, no longer called desolate. You are Hephzibah, my delight is in her. You are Beulah, married. You are chosen, claimed, forever mine." She collapses into his arms, sobbing, and this time it's not from grief, it's from relief, from release, from the overwhelming grace of being named something new while still carrying the scars of what you were. This is the impossible reversal. The scandal wasn't the prostitute. The scandal was the love that wouldn't quit.